The deadliest pandemic in human history is about to begin. 12 Genoese trading ships dock in Sicily, carrying death in their holds. The sailors are dying, their skin covered in black boils, bleeding from every opening. Authorities order the ships away, but it's already too late. The plague has arrived. Within weeks, the disease spreads through Sicily like wildfire through dry grass. The symptoms are horrifying: fever, vomiting blood, and black swellings the size of apples. Death comes in 3 to 5 days. No one survives once the black buboes appear. From Sicily, merchant ships carry the plague to Genoa, Venice, and Marseille. By spring of 1348, the Black Death reaches France, Spain, and England. Paris loses half its population. Bodies pile up faster than they can be buried. In Florence, Boccaccio writes, "The living barely suffice to bury the dead." Entire villages are wiped out. Fields lie unharvested. Homes stand empty and silent. Medieval doctors wear bird-like masks filled with herbs, believing bad air causes plague. They bleed patients, apply leeches, and prescribe useless potions. Nothing works. The Church declares it God's punishment. Priests lead processions, begging for mercy. But the processions only spread the disease further. Faith cannot stop bacteria. Jewish communities are blamed and massacred. Thousands burned alive in synagogues. The Pope himself issues bulls condemning the violence, but hatred spreads like plague. In England, the plague kills Edward III's daughter as she travels to marry. London's population drops from 70,000 to 40,000 in 18 months. Monasteries become tombs. Entire orders of monks die caring for the sick. There aren't enough priests left to perform last rites for the dying. Mass graves called plague pits hold thousands of bodies in layers. The wealthy flee to countryside estates, but death follows them there too. Servants abandon masters. Parents flee children. All social bonds dissolve in terror. A few brave souls remain to help. Nuns, priests, and healers die by thousands. In 1349, the plague reaches Scandinavia, carried by a ghost ship of corpses. Norway's King Haakon dies. His royal line nearly ends with the plague. The disease spreads to Sweden, Denmark, and reaches the frozen edges of Europe. By 1350, the plague enters Russia and the distant lands of the Mongol Empire. No corner of the known world escapes. From Cairo to Constantinople, death reigns. In the Middle East, the historian Ibn Khaldun loses both parents to plague. Trade routes that brought silk and spices now carry only pestilence and death. The Mongol Empire, which spread the plague westward, suffers terribly itself. Entire armies collapse before they can fight. Sieges are abandoned as both sides die. In China, where it likely began, the plague may have killed 25 million people. The actual cause remains unknown to victims: fleas on rats carrying deadly bacteria. Black rats infest medieval cities, living in walls, sewers, and grain stores. The rat flea bites, bacteria multiply, the human immune system fails completely. 3 forms exist: bubonic, pneumonic, and septicemic. All are deadly. Pneumonic plague spreads person to person through coughing. Survival rate, near zero. By 1351, the worst has passed, but the plague will return again and again. Europe has lost 1/3 to 1/2 of its entire population. Some regions lose 70%. Whole villages cease to exist. An estimated 75 to 200 million people worldwide have died. It's the deadliest pandemic in recorded human history. Nothing else comes close. The social consequences are immediate and profound. Labor becomes scarce and valuable. Surviving peasants demand higher wages. The feudal system begins to crack. England passes laws fixing wages, but workers revolt. The old order is dying. The Peasants' Revolt of 1381 is a direct result of post-plague social tensions. Women enter trades previously forbidden. Economic necessity breaks gender barriers. Art becomes obsessed with death. Dancing skeletons and skull imagery dominate. The dance of death appears everywhere, reminding all that death spares no one. Universities close as students and professors die. Learning slows across Europe. But survivors have more books, more land, and more opportunity than before. The Renaissance will bloom partly because of wealth concentrated in fewer hands. The Church's failure to stop plague damages its authority irreparably. Seeds of reformation are planted as people question why God allowed such suffering. But the Black Death is not finished. It returns in waves for centuries. The outbreak of 1361 kills mostly children and young adults who had no immunity. London suffers major outbreaks in 1563, 1593, 1603. The Great Plague of London in 1665 kills 100,000 people. Amsterdam, Paris, Venice all suffer repeated plague epidemics until the 1700s. The disease doesn't disappear. It becomes endemic in certain regions. Quarantine practices develop. Venice creates the first isolation hospitals in 1423. The word quarantine comes from quaranta, 40 days of isolation. Suffers Europe's last major plague outbreak in 1720, killing 100,000. By 1800, plague mysteriously disappears from Europe. Theories abound about why. Better hygiene? Brown rats replacing black rats? Climate change? No one knows for certain. In 1894, scientists finally identify the bacterium, Yersinia pestis. Alexandra Yersin and Shibasaburo Kitasato raced to discover the plague pathogen. For the first time in history, humanity understands what killed millions. The discovery comes during a new pandemic. The third plague pandemic begins 1855. Starting in China, this outbreak spreads globally, killing 12 million over decades. San Francisco suffers an outbreak in 1900, brought by ships from Hong Kong. India loses 10 million people. The disease reaches Australia, Africa, and South America. But now doctors understand transmission. Rat control programs begin worldwide. The development of antibiotics in the 1940s finally provides a cure. Streptomycin, tetracycline, and chloramphenicol all prove effective against plague. For the first time in human history, the Black Death can be defeated. But plague hasn't disappeared. It still exists in rodent populations worldwide. The United States sees about 7 cases annually, mostly in western states. Madagascar, Congo, and Peru report the most cases in the modern world. Between 2010 and 2015, over 3,000 cases were reported globally. With prompt treatment, survival rate is now 90% or higher. Climate change may alter where plague exists, potentially expanding its range. Scientists monitor plague carefully, aware it could resurge if conditions allow. The genetic code of medieval plague has been sequenced from victims' teeth. The Black Death strain was particularly virulent, deadlier than modern plague. Research shows it killed faster and spread more efficiently than today's versions. DNA analysis proves the Black Death changed European genetics permanently. Survivors passed on genes for immune resistance. Evolution happened in real time. Modern Europeans carry genetic variants that may protect against similar diseases. The Black Death's legacy lives in our genes, our culture, and our fears. It shaped language, quarantine, pest house, plague year, all entered speech. It changed labor, religion, art, medicine, and the entire course of Western history. No single event in the medieval period had greater impact on human society. The plague killed indiscriminately, rich and poor, young and old, faithful and faithless. It proved that nature doesn't care about human hierarchies or divine favor. Survivors learned painful lessons about hygiene, rats, and disease transmission. The foundations of modern public health were built on Black Death's ruins. COVID-19 reminded us that pandemics still threaten. History can repeat. But we now have science, antibiotics, vaccines, weapons our ancestors lacked. The Black Death teaches us to respect nature, value science, and remember history.